Alright guys, here's another update video. Here's pretty much where we're at. I've got the power steering lines done. There was a little adapter pipe that Adam had bought, and it still needed to be bent, so I put it in the pipe bender in the vise and got that where we needed it. Got the power steering lines all hooked up to the new pump. This is out of I think it was a 2013 Silverado, if I remember right. That's probably not right, but got everything put on there. I got the expansion tube done and the expansion tank for the radiator. Got some nice poly tubing and some fittings. Get kind of a clean look. Get away from some of that rubber hose. Also did the steam port. I'm gonna grab a flashlight because I want you guys to see this. I don't know if anybody's ever really done this before. I just had the idea and decided to try it, and it actually worked out pretty good. But if you can see right there, I actually took, it's a 2-port steam fitting, and obviously it's just like a normal truck one, you know, you would find it on Trailblazer, Silverados, you know, it comes across the front. The way the Supercharger sits, you had to flip it backwards. It still fits, but I put the port over here on this side. That's why you may be wondering why it's over here. But I actually cut that tube off and was able to drill into that block and tap that out to a 1/8 MPT and get that nice fitting screwed in there. And I pressure tested it, and it's great. I've never actually tried that before. I've never seen anybody else do it. If somebody else has done it, I'd kind of like to know. So comment if you have tried that. But that worked out really good. And we got the custom heater lines that you guys saw before. And for some reason there was a 2 AM fitting right here. And so I ended up pretty much doing the same thing. I cut the 2 AM fitting off flush, and I drilled out the opening to a 1/8 MPT, and I got a little stainless steel fitting for this this poly tube. And this is actually, I'm saying poly, it's actually nylon tubing, and it's pretty heavy duty stuff. But it just looks a heck of a lot better than running some rubber lines. And he's already told me, Adam's already told me that he was planning on at some point upgrading these to like some AN line, like some nylon braided lines or something a little nicer. But those would definitely work for now. And I already know right off the rip, we're changing these clamps out. I don't like these clamps. I never have really liked. They're just so bulky and look, you know, just look bad. So we got some different clamps on the way for those right off the rip. But so all we pretty much got left is the I got to vacuum down the AC, get it all charged up, and let's see, we got a list over here on the wall. I got to wire the wideband. Here's our list. This seems to be this is how we do things over here. That's when I did my ProCharger build. This is a LSA build. This is a couple years ago when I did my LS swap on my truck. Was my first engine. But I got to bleed the brakes. A couple little things. I just finished the E85 kit underneath. The wideband's ran except for putting the gauge in the dash. Like the wiring's already ran from the bottom of the car, and it's already inside the car ready to go. So, and a lot of this other stuff is just going to be real easy things like battery, headlights, grill, hood, you know. The only thing that we're really waiting on right now as far as parts is for the intake tube. This bend right here is very difficult. He's wanting to utilize the same space he had before, and so he had to order a special fitting that's like 130 or 35 degree bend. And so that should be able to get that going. And he's also got a splash shield. It's a nice stamped metal shield that's going to go in this area here to keep water from splashing up on the filter. So that's really nice. I don't think we videoed the fuel pressure regulator. I got that all done. So you see it's a boost reference regulator, and so we got our vacuum line here, our vacuum pressure line, and that's also the nylon tubing. Comes around to this side, and I actually had to drill and tap the lid for the supercharger, the LSA supercharger. For that, you can pretty much put it wherever you want to. I looped it around the back of the engine just because it would be a nice clean sweep. Wouldn't have any sharp bends or anything in it. It just seemed like the thing to do. And so anyway, this is our main pressure coming in from the tank, from the 525 pump. This is going to the fuel rail, and the return line's down here, running to the back. And that's where we've got the E85 sensor mounted. On the return line, I've got kind of like a low point in the line, so it doesn't drain out of the sensor. It'll stay wet. So that's all good. All I got left really as far as wiring, splicing the map sensor for the LSA map sensor, and here's the card style LS7 mass airflow sensor and adapter wiring. And for some reason we're missing the adapter going from the truck harness to this. I'm not sure what was going on here, what the plans were, but I'll get that sorted out. And then we've got the relay harness for the fans, which is already been pinned in before because he had some LS1 fans. So he's just gotten some nicer upgraded fans, and all I got to really do is just mount that. And I've got the relay and the power feed for the heat exchanger pump. So all that stuff will be mounted together. All the relays, kind of like a bank of relays, so it looks nice and clean. Also got the line lock plumbed in. So that's going to get wired in at the same time I do the wideband sensor, and so that'll be nice. Have that working. Got to power bleed the brakes. Got a brake motive power bleeder. Go ahead and flush this thing out. Probably go ahead and upgrade it to .4 fluid, and then once I get all that stuff done, I mean, all we really got left is fluids. Got to do the engine oil and put a filter in, coolant. I gotta bleed out the power steering system and fill the transmission up with fluid, and that really should be all. And also I'm going to pre-lube the engine, which anytime you change the oil pump or anything like that, it's gonna drain all the oil out of the engine. You guys know we already had this thing on the stand, and it was upside down, and everything. So the engine block is dry, so we're definitely going to pre-lube. And for those of you guys that don't know, there's a port. There's actually several ways to do it, but I prefer to use the port on the front of the engine. On the driver's side, it's right where the pump pressurizes the block, and you can hook a fitting up right there and pressurize the oil and actually pump it through the engine, and it completely fills everything up. It'll pump up the lifters, it will get all the air out of the lifter valley, it'll backflow into the pickup tube, so everything will be completely full, so that way when we start it, it'll immediately just have oil in it. It'll have oil pressure right away, and you don't have to worry about damaging any bearings or any kind of like dry start or anything like that. So it's definitely always the way to go. And I mean, there are other ways to do it, but this is absolutely the safest way to do it. I've done in the past where you leave the spark plugs out and rotate the engine over, and you can watch your oil pressure gauge. It doesn't usually take long, but it's definitely better to do the pre-lube through the port. And some people will use the oil pressure port at the top and the back of the engine. You can do it there, and also on the oil pan there's a port that you could use if you wanted to pressurize it. Pretty much anywhere in the oil system that you have a port, you can pump the oil in there, pressurize it, and it'll pre-lube the engine. One good thing about the port on the front though is it actually will pump through the oil filter, and I believe the one in the pan does too. If you do the oil pressure port at the top of the engine, you're not going through the filter, you're just pumping it straight into the lifter valley and kind of backwards that way. So as long as your oil's clean and your delivery system's really clean, you don't have anything to worry about. But I just prefer to pump it through the filter. That way, if there just so happens to be some kind of contaminant in the line or in the oil or something when you're pumping it in, it'll get caught in the filter as you're filling the engine up. So that's that. You know, I want to tell you, this is one of the cleanest Trailblazers I've ever seen, and it's honestly been really an honor to get my hands on it, you know, and be able to add something to it and get this stuff done. And everything looks really clean. The only thing we really didn't have time to do, I would have loved to have had time to actually go ahead and repaint the engine bay. But this thing, I mean, it's really not, it's not that bad. There's just usual little things, you know, where things have rubbed some of the paint off here and there. That's where the old expansion tank was, you know, and there's just stuff there that you just can't help, you know. It's just the nature of an engine bay. But once everything's done, once everything's all washed up, I mean, this thing's gonna look absolutely amazing. So, and the outside of this truck's immaculate. The whole truck is just absolutely great. So really excited, really glad that I was able to partner up with Adam and get this knocked out. And you know, real happy with it, real happy with the situation. So anyway, you guys stay tuned. As soon as we get a chance, you know, I'll get everything cleaned up, show you guys how the engine bay looks once everything's done. And then after that, Adam will come at you with some dyno videos, I'm sure. So I was gonna do some tuning on it, but he found somebody that's gonna actually go ahead and put it on a dyno. I only am able to do street tuning, so it's not really worth paying to license the ECU and then turn around and have somebody dyno it. So he's just gonna trailer it to his dyno guy, get some numbers, get it dialed in, and you know, we'll get you guys some footage of that. And then this girl's gonna be at LS Fest, so, and I'm gonna be up there too. I'll bring the Supercharger Trailblazer up there, and you know, try to have some fun, get out of town for a little while, have some fun. So what's up, guys? Got another update on the Trailblazer SS, and so I'm working on the wiring, and it's turned out to be a little bit more of a job than I thought it was going to be, but that's alright, I'm getting it knocked out. So I decided to split the wiring harness up. I didn't like the way it was coming across the top of the Supercharger, so I'm working on splitting it up, getting it rerouted. Some of the wires need to be relocated. The temp sensor's over here on this side of the Supercharger, so I pulled the wires back. That's what these guys are for the temperature sensor. And then also we're gonna have the map sensor that's gonna get integrated into this harness, so it just looks a lot cleaner. And then I still got to change the plug for the mass airflow sensor for the LS7 style. So working on that stuff, trying to get everything sort of tucked and hidden. I got the line lock and the wiring ran for the two-step, even though he doesn't have a two-step yet. If he gets the 8733 MSD, which I highly recommend, I've already got his trigger wire ran out here, so all he's got to do is tie the trigger wire in and plug it into the harness for the ignition coils, and that's a 15-minute job now, probably less than that. If I was going to put it in, it'd probably take me about 10 minutes tops. So that'll be nice. But yeah, I just wanted to do a little update, on the line. Got most everything buttoned up. This area will look a little bit better once I get the battery put in. The battery will kind of hide some of this stuff over here. And I also got the relays mounted for the fans. Got the fan harness put in. Got the E85 kit ran. Got the wire loom running back to the sensor. Got it pinned into the ECU. Everything wired up there. So yeah, coming right along. You guys stay tuned. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy our content, please like and subscribe. And don't forget to click that little bell. I've missed a lot of content from a lot of people that I'm subscribed to because I didn't realize that you had to click the bell. It doesn't really, I know that's kind of common knowledge now, but when they first started the bell, they didn't really explain that. So if you guys want to see that we published any videos, you have to click that bell notification. So do that, and it helps us, encourages us to keep making more content for you guys. So thanks for watching. Have a good one.